So today was an interesting day for Nintendo fans because of the fact that we got our latest financial report from Nintendo themselves. That, of course, goes over system sales, software sales, and then, of course, the elephant in the room. Where's the Nintendo Switch successor? Now, I want to go over some of this stuff and kind of paint the picture for you guys because Nintendo did actually kind of give a quote about the Switch successor, and I think everything sort of plays together with how this goes. So if this is your first time on the channel, hit that subscribe button. But without any further ado, let's just hop straight into it. So when we're talking about hardware sales, the Nintendo Switch has now sold over 146 million units, which, I mean, that's a crazy amount, especially considering the Wii U struggled to sell 13 million units. So this obviously has been a big success for Nintendo, but hardware sales are kind of indicative of software. And if there's not, big high quality software coming out that's going to bring in new people, if it's more so just for the people that already own a system, you're going to start to see sales stagnate. I mean, the Switch system itself is old technology at this point in time. And, it's kind of like the heyday has come and gone for this system. One of the reasons I bring that up is because of the fact that Nintendo actually estimated to sell 13.5 million units for this upcoming quarter, or this upcoming fiscal year, I should say. But now they have changed that to 12.5 million units. And that's probably because when you look at the software, like, there wasn't anything to sort of bring in new people. Most of the games that we saw this year were remakes or remasters or kind of offshoots of other successful franchises that maybe haven't hit the marks that Nintendo was expecting to do. So lowering your forecast by 1 million units, especially with the upcoming holiday season, kind of shows that people are indeed moving on from this system. Now, I mean, 12.5 million units for a system as old as the Switch is still very impressive, don't get me wrong, but it seems like Nintendo themselves have overestimated how many new people are going to get involved in this system. I mean, you could do something like a price drop to sort of increase that, but for whatever reason, it seems like Nintendo is pretty hell-bent on not price dropping this system like anytime soon. Maybe they are waiting for the Switch successor to be announced, and then they'll start to phase out the Switch with some price drops, which would help it in the grand scheme of things if they're trying to hit certain metrics, become the best-selling system of all time. Then, of course, we have to take a look at the software sales, because I think this paints a very interesting picture as well, because like I said, software sales are indicative of hardware is indicative of software. Now, you still have your monsters at the top of things. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is 64 million sold. 64 million sold for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like, that's just crazy, bro. That is ridiculous. That just shows you that maybe the Wii U did have some decent games on it. When you scroll down the list, everything is pretty much what you would expect it to be, your Marios and your Zeldas. I did find it interesting how the gap seems to have widened between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I caught quite a bit of flack for saying that Tears of the Kingdom would not outsell Breath of the Wild, and I don't think there's any chance in hell that Tears of the Kingdom does outsell Breath of the Wild at this point, because Breath of the Wild is now at 32.29 million units sold, and Tears of the Kingdom is at 21.04 million units sold. So unless they're able to sell like 15 million units of Tears of the Kingdom just completely out of the blue, Breath of the Wild will remain as the highest selling Zelda game of all time. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's something that I accurately predicted just because of the fact that Breath of the Wild had that big wow factor to it. It was the complete reimagining of how Zelda games could be played, and Tears of the Kingdom built upon that, but it still used the same sort of formula, the same sort of graphics, the same sort of mechanics, while adding in new mechanics. But if you didn't like what Breath of the Wild brought brought to the table and you purchased it, you're probably not going to rush out there and buy Tears of the Kingdom. So I was right about that. You have to give me credit when I'm right about things. And this was a situation I was right about. But one thing I mentioned was that the software for 2024 hasn't exactly been lighting the world on fire. And we got some sales figures for a couple of games that came out for the Switch. We got The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom at 2.58 million units, which, I mean, that's not bad or anything like that, but comparative to other Zelda games, that's obviously on the lower end of things. Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door at 1.94 million units, and Luigi's Mansion 2 HD at 1.57 million units. And it really feels like if these three games had come out like 3 years ago, I think these numbers would easily have been doubled of what they ended up selling. I think the problem is that, you know, like I said, people are starting to move on from this system, play other systems, play other games and stuff like that. So you're seeing a bit of a drop in the sales potential for a lot of these games. All because there's 146 million Switches out there doesn't mean that 146 million people are still playing these systems. You know, you've seen that time and time again. So it's a very interesting number to sort of bring up when you're talking about the sales data of these newer released games. And to bring this all back with the Nintendo Switch successor system, we have a quote from Reuters talking about what President Furukawa said at this event. Furukawa said there was no change to Nintendo's plans to announce a successor to its long-lasting Switch console in the current financial year to March, but did not go into specifics. So all that means to me is that the video we made a couple of days ago talking about Nintendo's plans, I think that's 100% correct. I don't think you're seeing this system in 2024. There's no reason to at this point in time. I know some people are like, well, it could show up at the Game Awards. Why? When was the last time Nintendo cared about the Game Awards? Nintendo is a Japanese company. And yes, the Game Awards is a worldwide thing, but they're a Japanese company. And I don't think they care about a Canadian doing a Game Awards presentation in the United States of America to the point of where they want to unveil their new system. They like to do things on their own time. And when you look at how 2025 is shaping up, like, you don't have to do something, you don't have to do a full-on presentation. Their plan is to announce a successor. You can announce a successor and still leave people completely in the dark. So I don't think this is I think this is a, you know, fall 2025 release. You know, I know there was rumors of, that's one thing I want to close this video out on, is we have to keep these leakers accountable. We have to keep all of these random Reset Era, Fama boards, leakers, and all these Twitter accounts. We have to hold them accountable for things like this, because so many of them were like, oh, it's happening in September. Oh, it's happening in October. It's definitely happening. It's definitely happening. Oh, the system's going to release in March, and then nothing is happening. So it's almost like they've just been talking out of their ass, looking at previous things to sort of build their, you know, case for this, to be like, oh, October to March with the Switch. And like, that's what they base their whole thing on. It's not actually based on insider information. You have accessory manufacturers still saying, oh, the system's going to come out in March. Like, are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Have you completely lost it? Like, do you know what you're talking about? Because I think the clear answer here is no. It's no. And I honestly, my heart aches for a lot of these Nintendo channels out there. Thankfully, I'm not one of them. But you're going to have to go play some games. You're going to have to review some games. You're going to have to talk about something else, because the system is not coming, as far as an announcement is concerned, in 2024. It's just, it's not happening. And that's okay. That is okay. You probably have a backlog of games. Nintendo is obviously doing things on their own time. And while I would prefer them to have announced this system a year ago, And I would have preferred them to have released this system in early 2024, so you're not seeing performance issues with first-party games such as Mario and Luigi Brothership, which everyone got mad at IGN for pointing out the fact that there are performance issues when this has been an underlying issue of the system for quite a while now. Like, I think everyone's just ready for new hardware, and when you're a diehard fan of something and you play something constantly and it's your main focus when it comes to video games, you are ready for the next generation. You are ready for better graphics, newer games, better games than what you're kind of getting with, you know, softer releases such as side mission games and essentially HD remasters and remakes. But, you know, my theory on this is, you know, maybe there's a January tweet says, hey, the Switch successor is coming. We'll talk about it in April. And then you've covered your bases with that. April, you get a trailer presentation. And then October, the system comes out. That's just my theory with this. But I think that's a valuable theory right now because it looks like that's the way that this is playing out. And really, anyone kind of holding on hope to 2024, you got to let it go. Let it go. I don't know that song. I've never watched Frozen. I've just like seen memes about it. Let me know in the comment section down below though. What do you think about all this stuff? Are you surprised that Nintendo Switch sales are a bit down and Nintendo's having to revise their system sales going into the holiday season? Are you surprised that Breath of the Wild is still the best-selling Zelda game? Because you shouldn't be, because I've been telling you that this entire time. What do you think about the sort of lackluster in comparison to other Switch games sales for the Switch games that have come out recently? And where do you stand on this? How do you think this whole thing is going to play out? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well. Please go watch that N64 video that I made on Sunday that absolutely nobody watched. Holy shit, that thing completely bombed. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.